Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond Dafeet. In this video we're going to do a kind of in-depth look at the best stability shoes going into 2021. Some of these you haven't really seen before, or one that you haven't seen before. It's still in the early process of getting released. I think it gets released about January. So it'll be a good time.
How do you say it?
January. It'll be a good time for 2021 because that's when it starts. Anyways, starting off with
So at number 5, looking at the Asics Kayano 27. The Kayano series has been around for quite a while and over many years didn't change too much, or didn't change for the better. With the Kayano 27, it is a solid drop though. The shoe overall is very stable and works quite well if you want to just go out for those slug runs, or just makes a great daily trainer, or even just a good shoe to wear in general. Very supportive around the heel. Now all these shoes do have that kind of, not medial posting, but that firmer density on that inside of the foot, just to kind of take that pressure away if you are pronating or rolling in. So that's what a stability shoe is essentially. This guy here uses a Duromax, so that firmer foam coupled with the Trussic, and then also a few other elements in the shoe overall. You got gel, you got
hard heel counter.
Yeah, and just a ton of other stuff. So there's a lot going on in the shoe, and as a result it does make it a little heavier than some other options. That's why it's at number 5, but we had to put it in there just because overall the shoe is that stability shoe that works. Been around for ages and it will continue to be around for ages. At $260 the shoe is very comfortable. You do get that luxurious shoe feel wrapping around the whole foot, so it's a nice padded heel counter, and overall the upper fits the foot really well. Comes in multiple different widths as well, so if you're someone who does have a wider foot, they do make them in a 2E and a 4E as well. And then if you're someone who just needs a standard width shoe, they do it as well. So overall it's very accommodating, very durable with your rubber underneath as well, and you got those nice flex grooves going on the forefoot just to make it that little bit more flexible at the forefoot, but it is a very rigid shoe at the heel and also the midfoot area, and that's what you want out of the stability shoe. Yeah, the Kayano Lite coming up later on, little spoiler, it is a much better shoe. So your Kayano 27, great shoe, great stability shoe, but there's better ones coming up.
So coming in number 4, it's your New Balance Prism. So this is a new iteration by New Balance, it's the FuelCell series. We haven't chucked the 860 in there, but this is the stability shoe with the FuelCell range. Not a whole lot of stability, so this is probably the most unstable of the stability shoes we have chosen. So if you do severely pronate or moderately pronate, probably don't pick this up. It's a great pickup if you want something that is a bit more stable for those tempo workouts, speed runs, the negative splits. This is a good workhorse. Ton of rubber. It is quite a lightweight package. I'd probably say it is the most lightweight out of this lot. Quite stable. Does have a slightly more of that dual density foam, so that dual density FuelCell on that medial side. It's not much of a big wedge. The heel counter, like, it's there. It's not that rigid compared to some of these others. The fit of this shoe is nice though, so quite a shallow toe box as well as a midfoot section. Most feet running in these shoes, most of the feet will have a low to medium instep, so the shoes need to accommodate that as well, being quite not really too much volume to the shoe. Love the upper. It's got a bit mucky since I spilled some coffee on it, but it looks good, very aesthetic. I think this runs with a 6mm drop, so it's probably the second lowest drop out of a lot of these. I'd probably lean towards this a bit more if you want that speed workout shoe. If you look at this as a daily trainer, you probably won't get as much support as far as a few of these others go. But as far as the bang for buck package, I think this is the cheapest out of a lot of them. This comes at $180 Australian, so very decent for the package you get, and you probably see about 600 Ks out of this. But the FuelCell is a nice squishy cushioning system, but it is quite energetic at the same time, so it's a happy medium in between those two. The only thing I'd kind of change is putting a gusseted tongue in on this. Coming in at number 4, that's your FuelCell Prism.
Fan favourite for quite a while, your Brooks Adrenaline. We're up to the Adrenaline 21, so this shoe has upgraded from last season's model. They pretty much made it a co-model midsole. What that means is that there's less glue in there, and the midsole itself is all one component. So you got two different cushioning components in the one midsole. So you got that DNA loft cushioning as well as your Biomogo running down the other side. So you got Brooks softest cushioning on the outside and then a slightly firmer cushioning system on the inside of the foot. As for someone who rolls in, needs that little bit of kind of firmer support on the inside. Coupled with your guide rails. Now these guys kind of wrap up around each side of the foot, and they also do sit into the midsole a little bit as well. It's not a traditional medial posting, but that support is there if you do need it. A very nice comfort collar around the back of the foot and that firm heel counter as well, which does make it a very stable shoe overall. I think if you're someone who's just looking at getting into running and you just want that shoe, you're not sure if you do pronate or if you need that little bit more support, or if you're someone who's just getting into running in general and you want that shoe you can do for a bit of everything, couch to 5k, or if you want to build up to a marathon, your Adrenaline's probably the pick of the bunch for myself. It's something you're going to put on, it's going to minimize injury for the foot, and it's not going to push you back too far. It's just going to hold that foot nice and straight. A bit more of that holistic stability approach. So that's where I think Brooks have gone leaps and bounds in the last couple seasons and have caught up to a lot of the other stability ranges. And with that DNA loft cushioning system, it is a very pleasurable cushioning system. So that's where even in some of the neutral options, it is very, very soft and lightweight. But with this shoe, it fits the foot really well. Again, very accommodating in different widths as well. And it's a very durable shoe underneath. With the ton of rubber you got under there, you're gonna get a lot of Ks out of it. I'd probably say it's probably your second most durable out the lot we got here. Easily be pushing 1,000 K. Now we say that with a lot of videos, but there's a lot of rubber there to go through. If you're going to go through anything first, it's probably going to be your upper as opposed to the outsole. So yeah, very, very durable shoe. I wouldn't use it as much for those speed workouts. If you wanted something to run a little bit faster in, probably looking at the Prism or even your Ravenna by Brooks. But yeah, your Prism by New Balance works quite well if you want to kind of put these in a rotation. It worked very nicely. As that daily trainer, that shoe you can put on, go for a run, and you don't care too much about the times you're putting out, I guess. This shoe is going to be very pleasurable and minimize injury for sure. Coming in at that $240 mark, a little cheaper than your Kayano, so that's where we did put it ahead of it. And overall, it's a much softer shoe, so that's where I think it beats the Kayano as well. All great stability shoes. I would say your Adrenaline has come leaps and bounds from the previous model. A little bit lighter, a little bit softer than last season. So yeah, make sure you pick it up.
And coming in at number 2, not sure how this happened, we got 2 Asics in the top 5. So this is the first time for everything. And it is the Kayano Lite. So this has a one-piece midsole, and that's right, it's a one-piece midsole by the infamous Asics. And you got your full flight foam as a cushioning system. So they've done the stability system differently on the shoes, basically compared to anything on other thing on the market. So you got your concave on the lateral side, helps slightly push that person out that does roll in, and it is convex on that medial side. It is just a bit more of a round shape, so there's no dual density on this. There's no adhesive in the midsole. It's just a nice, pleasurable ride. It is suited to someone that does moderately pronate, whether it be rear foot, midfoot, or forefoot. There's not too many shoes on the market. The next one we'll show you is one of the only shoes that do accommodate forefoot pronators, and the Asics Kayano Lite does that as well. So if you find you're a bit unstable in most shoes when it comes to forefoot pronation, I'd be looking at this plus the next style we got coming up. It is quite a splayed platform at the forefoot, so it keeps you sure grounded. Got enough traction on the road. It is lightweight. I think this comes up in at about 260 grams, 255. So compared to this boy here coming in at about 310 grams, you shed about 60 grams or 50 grams for basically a better shoe. The flight foam is brilliant when it comes to a cushioning system. You sink into it enough. I'd probably compare it closest to the Clifton 7. As I said in my previous video, I didn't think I'd be comparing Asics to Hoka, but the flight foam plus the different take Asics has done on the stability shoe works terrifically. Upper fits great, very shallow, similar to fit to the Prism I find. Nice heel counter, like it's plush, holds onto the Achilles very nicely, and very breathable. I'd probably find this the most breathable out of the lot. I think it's a monofilament upper, so similar to what they did on the Nimbus 2. Very breathable, full ground contact throughout the whole outsole. So that's a good aspect when it comes to a stability shoe. Makes for a smooth transition. You don't have any of that trussic in that midfoot to kind of lock you up or just not make the foot flex as it should. Probably see about 800 Ks out of these guys. I'd probably see you wearing through that 4-foot rubber a bit quicker. Just I think they've added a bit of air-blown rubber there, but as far as the whole package goes for a stability shoe, these are actually very good. And it's, yeah, I'd probably...
Especially like coming from this guy and then dropping that one, I mean your Kayano Lite is leaps and bounds ahead. For someone who runs in the Kayano 27, you put that guy on and it's going to feel like a different shoe because it is so light and so much bouncy in comparison to your 27. But going from like 5 or 6 different components in a midsole, dropping it down to one, and then still giving you that similar support in the shoe is an awesome look by Asics. So I think if Asics continue on that route in the future, they're going to definitely come leaps and bounds ahead of other brands and kind of be on top again essentially as they kind of once were. So yeah, the Kayano Lite, it's awesome shoe.
And if you haven't been one runner to pick up Asics in the last few years, I know there's quite a few of you out there, and if you want a stability shoe, I would suggest picking this guy up. It will pleasantly surprise you when it comes to a shoe that has an Asics logo on it. And coming in at number 1, I think this was probably number 3 last year when it came to the older shoe, so the Arahi 4. And this drops in January, and it is the Arahi 5 by Hoka One One Arahi. So the Arahi 3 and 4, it was basically the exact same shoe, they just changed the number on it. I'll have a video that you can have a look at me talking about and ranting on about how it's the exact same shoe. With the 5, they made the changes that they need to. They shallowed out the upper, which they need to on a stability shoe. And the J-frame's still very similar, but you get quite a bit of more rubber on that lateral side, which I find I ended up chunking out a lot of that lateral side in the Arahi 4 as well as 3 and 2. So just dial that in a bit better, bit more durable rubber as well. And the J-frame technology, probably one of the better stability systems on the market. So it does cater for a rear foot pronator, a mid-foot pronator, as well as a forefoot pronator. Under the guide rails in this, plus the new way the Kayano Lite are doing things, it's more of a holistic approach. You don't have any kind of just firm bit, the most brands, just the traditional way to do it, just digging into your arch. It's a smoother way to do things, it doesn't lock up the foot too much, and it makes for a more of a pleasurable ride, having a full ground contact. These guys are quite lightweight. I think it's very similar weight to the Kayano Lite. Comes at around 250 grams, 260 grams, so very lightweight package for the amount of stack height. I think this runs with a 4 or 5 mil drop, so it's probably about a 30 to about a 26 or 25. So there's a lot of cushioning underneath the foot. If you are someone that suffers from shin splints, I would highly suggest picking this up with that 4-foot pronating support coming into play, plus just a lot of stack height underneath the 4-foot. That's where it disengages that shin bone a bit, as well as a few other tendons running around that medial side, and just the shoe will take a bit more of that jarring out of the body, takes a lot of shock away, and can easily help recover from any bone stress injuries or anything like that. Nice pull tag, or kind of pull tag that Hoka's kind of going to, so makes it easier to get on and off, and it is running with a gusseted tongue, so things I experienced with the other Arahis, they won't slip down to that lateral side anymore. But yeah, very secure fit, it's nice and breathable, the upper is going to last you a long time, and you're actually going to get a bit more wear out of that outsole. So yeah, very good package, quite stable, will suit a lot of runners. And touching on the medial side, when it comes to the bucket seat, you won't have that irritate your arch. You shouldn't get a blister there at all, or kind of any red areas. So if some of you in the past have suffered from having a bit of irritation on that medial side, digging into your arch, this should not irritate it at all.
In terms of overall softness, comparison with Clifton?
Slightly bit firmer, as it needs to be, since the Clifton is a highly cushioned shoe, but this is more of that marshmallow softness. It's a bit of a firmer marshmallow, but it is a lot softer, or not a lot softer, but it is what the Arahi 3 and 4 should have been. You do sink into it quite a bit more than both of those, but it is still as stable, if not more.
So that about wraps it up. There are top 5 stability shoes going into 2021, or even of 2020, I guess. At the end of 2020, these are what you should be picking up if you're going to be buying a stability running shoe. So yeah, hit that like button, smash the subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Coffee as well?
Oh, I thought you you had McCafe as well. This episode of Beyond Defeat is sponsored by McCafe, established in 1993 before Josh and I were.
It's enough there to you.
Right.
Welcome back.
How are we? Enjoying yourself? This episode. We're definitely keeping that in it. This episode of Beyond Defeat, we're going to take a look at.
What are you talking about? Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Feet.
No, yeah, not yet.